Sophie from Mars decided, with the help of I think ThoughtSlime, that she was going to make her career by making a documentary film about me, right? Which is weird because this YouTube channel has what, 26,000, 27,000 followers. Meanwhile, she's got like hundreds of thousands of followers. But for some reason, of all the people to go after, she decides to go after a guy who just so happens to work at RT just at the same time the USA is going after Russia and setting the stage to provoke a war with Russia. Interesting coincidence, but nothing to do with intelligence. Of course, this video goes viral. It's one of the first things that comes up if you Google me. And in this video, she just blatantly lies about all kinds of things. Now, what was fascinating, so I'm getting ready to do this stream tonight, and I'm looking over her video, and it's all about me and the conspiracy left. She goes after Peter Coffin. She goes after George Galloway. She goes after Jimmy Dore, but she spends way more time on me than any of them, which is weird because my YouTube channel is not that big. But I noticed that she has heavily edited the video since she uploaded it to cover her ass, right? Because some of the claims she made in the video were so absolutely ridiculous that she just edited the video. But no apology, no retraction. So I'm going to show you a couple of the things that Sophie from Mars said in her original video that she edited out, right? She said things that are ridiculous, and she said things that are despicable. And I'm going to show you what she said in her original video, which she now realizes is so ridiculous she's edited out of there. No correction, no apology. So this is one of the things she said about me.
Presents Arendt, Maupin is showing that he understands what she means.
This is just the context. I criticize in the book, and I'll give you the context for this clip. I criticize Hannah Arendt. Hannah Arendt is a writer, an academic that was funded by the CIA. The Congress for Cultural Freedom program, which was a CIA program, funded the work of this academic. And one of her main theses, and this is a thesis that comes from almost all of these thinkers, right? Susan Sontag and Hannah Arendt and all of them. One of their main arguments, thank you, John, you're on the list, right? One of their main arguments is that fascism is a result of deep down people are just bad, right? Human beings are just cruel, evil. Human beings are collectivist, and when they get together, they suppress the great intellectuals. This is all of the oligarchical thinkers, the neocons, the synthetic left. They all think this, right? What's his name? Not Irving Kristol, Leo Strauss. He puts this forward in Persecution and the Art of Writing. Hannah Arendt puts this forward in her book, Eichmann in Jerusalem. This is put forward by Susan Sontag in her essay, Fascinating Fascism. It's this notion that fascism is when the rabble get together and start suppressing the rights of the smart intellectuals. Well, my understanding of fascism comes from this book, Fascism and Social Revolution by R. Palm Dutt, which was the official book on fascism published by the British Communist Party in the 1930s. When fascism was rising, after Hitler came to power, the British Communist Party published this great book, which you can find online. PDFs of it are everywhere, that explains that no, fascism is when capitalism enters a crisis, when people are homeless because there are too many houses, when people are hungry because there is too much food, when abundance creates poverty, the capitalists start trying to drive down living standards, and they set up an authoritarian state to try and reduce consumption and stabilize the system. And that's what fascism is. But the CIA and the Congress for Cultural Freedom have spent lots of money trying to convince you, no, fascism is just people. Fascism is just people. Fascism is just when, the rabble get together. Fascism is rooted in human beings just being inherently evil. And that's a toxic message. Human beings aren't evil. Capitalism is evil. The system that puts profit in command of production and makes it so all the wealth that's being created is not used for the benefit of society. The system that is leading to a situation where self-driving cars could lead to mass unemployment. That's the problem. And that her book, Eichmann in Jerusalem, right? Hannah Arendt wrote this book called Eichmann in Jerusalem. And in that book, she talks about this horrendous Nazi war criminal named Adolf Eichmann. And Adolf Eichmann, she says, was just an ordinary guy. right? He's a Nazi war criminal. He's, you know, a participant in the Holocaust, threw people in gas chambers, awful human being. And she says, well, he's just an ordinary man, and that deep down anyone could be Eichmann, because deep down, you know, ordinary people are all just a bunch of Nazis. Well, that's a toxic, anti-populist, anti-human narrative. The crimes of the Nazis were rooted in the breakdown of capitalism. That's the point. I spend the entire second chapter or third chapter of this book making that point. But this is what she said in response to me making what is a completely logical point to anyone who's at all familiar with the Marxist understanding of fascism.
Presents Arendt, Maupin is showing that he understands what she means, right? The banality of evil is so horrifying to Arendt exactly because ordinary people did carry out not only the Holocaust, but every little bit of the Nazi regime, and every inhuman and vile thing that human beings have ever done to one another. The complete revelation of the face of evil, the ability to gaze into the eyes of the architect of genocide and see a real human person with internal thoughts and dreams, is exactly what's so scary about the Holocaust. Because
well, it's not if you understand Marxism. That this is what happens when you have an irrational system that's holding back history, right? And that there is a way out of this, which is empowering society to take control of the means of production. And the idea that fascism and the Holocaust and all these crimes are just rooted in the way human beings are, this is the talking point of the oligarchy. This is the talking point of the Malthusians and the ultra rich, right? Well, then of course we need to control ordinary people, right? Of course we need to carefully regulate and control the masses, because if they get together, they're going to do evil things. The Holocaust is rooted in the failures of capitalism. It's rooted in a crisis of capitalism in decay. It's rooted in, you know, deeply rooted racial hatred and the evils of German imperialism historically, etc. It's not rooted in human beings just being bad. And if you're a Marxist, that's a really important thing, because that narrative that human beings are just the problem, that justifies the oppression of the working class, and that justifies the crazy free market theory, etc. But anyway, so, you know, she's talking about what Hannah Arendt said, right? And then she says this
thing that human beings have ever done to one another. The complete revelation of the face of evil, the ability to gaze into the eyes of the architect of genocide and see a real human person with internal thoughts and dreams, is exactly what's so scary about the Holocaust, because ordinary people did turn in their neighbors, their colleagues, their fellow human beings to the Nazi extermination machine. And Caleb is incensed by this observation
because I love the working class, because I want to empower the people. I don't want to suppress them, because I don't support the tech monopolies censoring people, and I don't support the NSA tapping our phones, and I don't want to march us toward World War III, and I don't want our civil liberties to be taken, and I don't think that human beings are just vile creatures that have the right, you know, that the oligarchy needs to suppress. I blame the Holocaust and crimes like that on the oligarchy. I blame it on the system. I don't blame it on the working class.
He believes in the sanctity and purity and supremacy of something that he calls ordinary working class people. This is exactly why Caleb Maupin is so slippery. He says things like, "I'll never disavow other anti-imperialists."
Damn right. You know, I'm standing up for the Uhuru movement. The Uhuru movement are facing decades in prison for supposedly, you know, being Russian agents just for their free speech. And I will never disavow them. And I don't care if people talk bad about them online. I see the American government coming after them, and I'm standing with them, because that's what you do. An injury to one is an injury to all. And that we have a duty to stand against war. We have a duty to stand against the imperialists, and we have a duty to protect the free speech of people to oppose war. So yes, I'm not going to get up and disavow somebody who's taking a heroic stand against war just to get points on social media. I am going to stand behind people who, yeah, I disagree with. I have a different political line than the Uhuru movement, but I support them because they're under attack. This is a group of black revolutionaries. They're under attack, and I support them. And Chairman O'Malley of the African People's Socialist Party was so moved by our support, he made a video message. And we've had, you know, CPI invited to speak at their rallies. This is what real solidarity is all about. Let's continue.
And I'll never disavow other anti-imperialists is exactly how a fascist, using the aesthetics of leftism, signals to other people who aren't welcome among the left because they're bigoted or insensitive or support genocidal regimes that they have a safe place with him. I would say
No, actually, it's a way I make clear that if they come for one of us, they have to deal with all of us. That's what I make clear. And I make clear that, if the US government arrests somebody from the Nation of Islam for being anti-imperialist, I might not be in the Nation of Islam. I might disagree with the Nation of Islam about gay marriage or abortion, but I'll still support them. That if the US government arrests a Roman Catholic priest for standing against World War III, I'll stand with them. But it gets better, right? Yes, that you have to have the back. That's how we got where we are, as people learn to overcome their political differences. People learn to overcome their political differences and have each other's backs against the state. And that's what I'm talking about. And that's what you do in real movements. That's not what you do in toxic internet stuff. But it gets better.
Say that, though coded, what Maupin says there about Arendt amounts to soft Holocaust denial, which shouldn't be too surprising.
She called me a Holocaust denier because I disagreed with blaming the Holocaust on the working class. Let me just play that again. She called me a Holocaust denier because I didn't agree with the college academic narrative that says that the Holocaust is the fault of just some intrinsic flaw in humanity. It's the fault of the working class. I blamed it on the system. And I went into great detail about how fascism is the breakdown of capitalism. She literally just called me a Holocaust denier. And she's edited this out of the video because it's so ridiculous. But no apology, no correction. I have never denied the Holocaust. I know people who are survivors, whose family members are survivors. This is absolutely despicable. She makes a video and it gets hundreds of thousands of views claiming that I denied the Holocaust when I'm one of the biggest defenders of the country that ended the Holocaust, the Soviet Union, that liberated Auschwitz concentration camp.
That they have a safe place with him. I would say that, though coded, what Maupin says there about Arendt amounts to soft Holocaust denial, which shouldn't be too surprising given the company and the fact that Maupin is an anti-Semite, trying hard but not doing well at hiding it.
Yeah. And so there you go, right? And somehow I'm an anti-Semite, even though all the people who taught me Marxism are Jewish. I learned Marxism from Fred Goldstein, from Leslie Feinberg, from Francis Dostal. It's like, if this person can just get up and tell lies like that, it's pretty ridiculous. But, that's the kind of behavior. But this is what you get points for in this toxic internet culture, right? You get points not for engaging with anybody, not for learning anything. You get points for, aha, you're wrong, you're bad because, and you especially get points if the person who's bad just happens to be on the wrong side of the Pentagon, right? We know this. They're rigging the algorithms. They banned RT from YouTube. You get extra points if the person you're smearing is somebody who supports Julian Assange or is somebody who's opposing sending weapons to Ukraine. You get extra points for that. But anyhow, I want to show you another clip from Sophie's, her great takedown of me. This is another thing that she edited out because it was so utterly ridiculous. Again, no apology, no correction. Here we go.
There's a historical precedent for this called the Congress for Cultural Freedom. During the 1950s, the CIA had a program for covertly funding left-wing voices, artists, intellectuals, and others. They set up a magazine called Partisan Review in the United States. They set up a magazine called Encounter in Britain, and in Germany they had a magazine called Der Monat. That's where the Frankfurt School received a lot of its funding.
Oh my God! It was cultural Marxism the whole time! You only have to Google CIA Frankfurt School to see it. This is this cultural Marxism conspiracy theory from the LaRouche movement, which Caleb is part of. Holy shit! Okay, shit. Lyndon LaRouche.
Yeah, so first of all, I've never been part of the LaRouche movement. I mean, I've been friendly with them before, but I've never been part of the LaRouche movement. And second of all, cultural Marxism is something that, like, the Nazis talked about, cultural Bolshevism. They tried to blame social liberalism on the Jews or something. That's not what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is a very, very well-documented fact. There are loads of books about how the CIA manipulated left-wing politics. Who paid the piper? The CIA and the Cultural Cold War by Francis Stone Saunders. Here's, the compromised campus, collaboration of the universities with the intelligence community, Sigmund Diamond. You know, there's even a best-selling book. You know, this was a good one. I learned a lot from this one. Chaos, Charles Manson, the CIA, and the Secret History of the 60s. And we do classes. You know, we do classes on this at the Congress, the Center for Political Innovation. And we just did, you know, Elizabeth Young, our president, just gave a great class on it this weekend in Portland. And, you know, I mean, it's well documented historical fact that what I said in that clip, what she shows me saying, everything I said here is true. What did I say?
Nice.
There's a historical precedent for this called the Congress for Cultural Freedom. During the 1950s, the CIA had a program for covertly funding left-wing voices.
That is true. That is absolutely true. You can Google it. You can read about it. They admit they did it. They brag about it. Various CIA people. That's true.
Artists, intellectuals, and others. They set up a magazine called Partisan Review in the United States. They set up a magazine called Encounter in Britain. And
both of these things are true. Read about Encounter magazine. Read about Partisan Review. They were both funded by the CIA. These were Trotskyite magazines, pretending to be leftists, pretending to be communists, but actually opposing the socialist countries. That's a fact.
In Germany, they had a magazine called Der Monat.
Google Der Monat magazine. That is a fact.
That's where the Frankfurt School received a lot of its funding.
And that's true, too. That is absolutely true, right? The Frankfurt School, which was the wing of academic, you know, Marxism, you know, Herbert Marcuse and, who else? Herbert Marcuse was one of the big names, but there was also, oh goodness, they're all the names are escaping me now. It's Herbert Marcuse was one of them. And then there's, what's his name? The authoritarian personality guy. I don't remember his name. The guy who wrote The Authoritarian Personality. It's escaping me now. And all of them were getting funded by the CIA. And I mean, this is well-documented fact. But she just says, oh, sounds like something that somebody I don't like said. Theodore Adorno. Exactly. Very good. China Shill got it, right? You know, I mean, it's like these people being funded by the CIA is a well-documented fact. Okay? And she just calls it a crazy conspiracy theory and attacks me as anti-Semitic and being a Nazi for bringing it up when it's a fact, right? And so but the thing is, this is the kind of smear culture that I'm talking about, right? So it's like, so now, right, this kind of smear culture where you get points for calling somebody out, you get points for gossiping about somebody, you get points for accusing somebody. Well, now it's come around to bite her in the ass. Well, you know, I'm not going to repeat what's been said about her because I'm not interested. And I didn't even bother to read it. And it's probably gross. And I don't think she will change. And that's the sad thing about all this, right? You know, if somebody actually does something wrong, you know, if someone does something wrong, you don't change their behavior by dragging their name through the internet. All right. Kanye West is a great example of that. Kanye West said some bad things about Jews, and it wasn't good what he said. And the internet jumped all over him for it. And so what did he do? He doubled down and he got worse. And that's what happens. Cancel culture doesn't solve the problem. No one changes their behavior. No one changes their attitude because they get canceled, because they get smeared. Nobody, right? Kanye West said some ignorant things about Jewish people that I wish he hadn't said. And then the internet dragged him. And then next thing you know, he's on Alex Jones, you know, talking with Nick Fuentes. And now he's doubled down on it. And that's what cancel culture does. It makes things worse. And it's part of this toxic internet culture where no one can talk about anything. No one can talk about anything. No one can talk about anything. No one can admit they're wrong. You're not allowed to apologize. You know, what if Kanye West had come out and said, you know what I tweeted about Jews was really insensitive and awful, and I'm so sorry. Would that have stopped it? Would all the people attacking him, would they have all said, oh, he's sorry. Okay, we're going to stop. Of course not. That's not how the internet works, right? And it's this toxic culture where all you get points for doing is tearing people down, exposing people, right? Everyone wants to know why all the other commentators are phonies. And it's a competitive marketing thing, competitive marketing brand, where basically what they're saying is shop from me, don't shop from the other guy. That's what they're saying. Shop from me, don't shop from the other guy. Shop from me, don't shop from the other person. And so you want to blow all the rumors out of proportion about the other person. You want to get the upper hand, and it's disgusting. And it's bad for mental health. People kill themselves. Right. Yeah. Gala is absolutely right. Alex Jones apologized for Sandy Hook, and he's still being canceled. Exactly. You're exactly right, Gala. Right. And I mean, and they ended up suing Alex Jones. And I mean, that whole situation is wild, and that, it's just toxic. Right. And this was Sophie's, this was her stock and trade. I mean, she was all over all kinds of things about me. Not only did she, she lied about me in every different possible way you could have imagined. She lied about me being a white supremacist when I'm clearly not that. She lied about, she misrepresented my position on a number of issues. She lied about some things about me. She misrepresented my, I don't want to go into detail, but there's been so many lies out of the mouth of this person where they just went out of their way to say things that they knew were not true, to take things that I said and say, well, by that he means, and, knock down a complete straw man. This person made it their career. They went on big podcasts to talk about me. They like decided being the expert on Caleb was what was going to get them, and I'm convinced there was a Patreon person or something, because it makes no sense, right? I mean, it's like, compare their platform to mine, right? I got like what, 27,000 followers. She's got hundreds of thousands, but suddenly, the world had to know that Caleb was so bad. Well, you know what? I'm not going to engage in gossip about her personal life and things that have gone on. And I don't know what's true and what's not. And I'm not going to repeat any of it because it's just not important. Right. And that, it's not important, and we can do better than this. And that there is a lot of people, and I've learned this, I spent a long time in Portland, with comrades. We had an amazing conference. Oh my goodness. So amazing. The biggest event we've ever done, except for the Rage Against the War reception, right? The Rage Against the War after party was slightly bigger because we had a crowd there already for the Rage Against the War machine rally. But this time, we had to generate the crowd ourselves. And it was 150 people total. About 100 people were there the whole time. We had an amazing conference. And then I got to spend the week in Portland. I got to spend time with comrades. We did a great workshop in Portland, small, intimate workshop of new members of CPI. That was great. And then, I got to spend some time with another comrade on Monday, comrade I've been wanting to spend time with for a long time. And we got to spend time. And what just really came across to me is that there are many, many, many people out there who are looking for something better than this, right? That they get involved in this internet stuff. They get involved in it, but they know that there's got to be something better out there. There has got to be something better out there beyond this toxic internet, cyberbullying, everyone tearing everyone down, everyone exposing everyone else culture. There's got to be something better than this. Well, something better than this is called the Center for Political Innovation. And we just had a great conference. Peter Coffin was there, and David Rovix was there playing his music. And Scott Ritter was there. And the video's coming soon. I am building a real organization because for me, being a socialist, being a Marxist is not about making YouTube videos. It's not about being the smartest person on the internet. It's about actually building a real mass movement. That's what it's about for me. And it's just, I just view this whole drama with Sophie. I just view it as part of that toxic culture that I want to separate people from. And if you're part of that toxic culture, I want to let you know there's a place you can go, and that you can have been part of it before, and you can change, you can change. That's the point. You don't have to just stay there, right? Maybe you've talked shit about CPI in the past. Maybe you said stuff about me. Maybe you used to believe stuff about me, and maybe that's where you're at. But there is something else out there. socialism for me, what does socialism mean? Right? What is the root word of socialism? Social, society. It's about working together. Socialism is not something you do in isolation. And it's not an internet show you watch on your phone. Socialism is about society. It's about organization. It's about people working together and learning to cooperate and learning to forgive each other when they let each other down and learning to do better when they made mistakes and learning to be patient with each other when they get on each other's nerves. It's about people coming together and realizing their own economic interests and fighting for the kind of world where people don't have to be hungry, where people don't have to be unemployed, where people don't have to be homeless. It's about reorganizing society to be in the interest of the people. That's what socialism is. And so socialism, communism is about building an in real life community and building an in real life organization. And, you know, I mean, Killian, he did great. I mean, Killian put together this great sketch that, you know, this great skit that we did on the life of Mr. Grossip. You're going to see that. And Killian, you know, he gave a great speech. That's a quote from it. He gave the Charlie Chaplin speech at the end of the conference. That's how we ended it. It was beautiful. I mean, so many people. I mean, it was an amazing conference in so many ways. And I wish you all could have been there. And we got a lot of great work coming up with the Center for Political Innovation. So I just, you know, I thought that the Sophie from Mars drama, you know, why not use it to just point out we can do better than this, right? You know, look, I have not read the allegations and I don't want to. I'm not interested. I'm grossed out. And, you know, if she really did something wrong and she hurt somebody, I hope that she can get to the place where she can, you know, not treat people badly and she can learn from her mistakes, and, you know, the people who she hurt can forgive her. And with time, we can all learn from it. And if she didn't do anything, if she's actually, you know, then I'm really sorry to see her name getting dragged through the mud. And at the end of the day, my beef with Sophie from Mars has nothing to do with people on the internet complaining about stuff that happened in one night stands or sexual affairs. It has nothing to do with that, right? My beef with Sophie is that she's lied about me. She's lied through her teeth about me and used her big platform to do so, and gotten boosted by the imperialists to do so, and covered for the CIA in order to do so, and tried to blame the Holocaust on the working class in order to do so. That's my beef with Sophie, right? You know, whatever happened between her and other people in her private life is none of my goddamn business. I don't want to know what Sophie from Mars likes to do in bed. It's none of my goddamn business. And it's none of your goddamn business either. And if you're watching this, you know what? I would encourage you to not look, not investigate, because it's none of your goddamn business, none of my goddamn business. You know, I mean, and this is gutter politics. It's just absolutely gutter politics, right? And I mean, it goes beyond just the accusing people and the sex gossip on the internet. It goes beyond that, right? Everything is about stuff below the belt. I am for sexual freedom, right? I am for sexual freedom, right? If people want to live their lives the way they want to live them, that is their business, right? If people are gay, LGBT, that's their business. People are transgender, that's their business. If people are whatever, right? Whatever you do with consenting adults is none of my goddamn business. And if there's situations where people are mad at other people, and I don't want to hear about it, right? My fight with Sophie is always going to be a political fight with Sophie. My fight with Sophie is about what fascism actually means. My fight with Sophie is about what capitalism actually means. My fight with Sophie is about her telling lies about me. My fight with Sophie is about the working class and the broad masses of people not being the villains. My fight with Sophie is about the fact that Russia is right to protect the people of Donbass. The Russians are right to move in and recognize the Donetsk People's Republic and recognize the People's Republic of Lugansk. My fight with Sophie is about the fact that Taiwan is China, and the USA shouldn't be piling weapons onto the island of Taiwan to provoke China. My fight with Sophie is about the fact that Julian Assange is rotting in prison right now just for exposing the dirty war crimes that our American government has committed. That's what my fight with Sophie is about. My fight with Sophie is about the fact that the Uhuru movement had been indicted. And all these people that claim to be so woke and so progressive are sitting back while a group of black revolutionaries are facing over a decade in prison just for organizing anti-war rallies. That's what my fight with Sophie is about. My fight with Sophie is about the fact that we have a government in the United States that is piling weapons into Israel right now while the roads and bridges are falling apart. That is what my fight is with Sophie is about. I don't know if you saw this clip, but this is the kind of thing I rather than talking about below the belt stuff, seriously, I'm going to show you a clip here in a second. But, right now we're on the brink of World War III. Living standards are dropping. Wages are dropping. Americans are hungry. I was just out in Portland. Do you know how many homeless encampments I saw in Portland? Tent cities, little tent encampments set up where people are living on the street. The opioid epidemic is beyond out of control. People are dying. Dead bodies show up on the streets all the time, right? And I look at one of the biggest bread tubers, one of the main bread tubers I profile in this book, right? ContraPoints. What has she made videos on? In the past 2 years, she's not made a single video opposing World War III, but she's made 2, not 1, but 2 videos, both of which are over 2 hours long, about J.K. Rowling, the Harry Potter lady, and how the Harry Potter lady is allegedly transphobic. Why? When we're on the brink of war, when people are dying in Donbass, when the Palestinians in Gaza are getting bombed around the clock, 15 Palestinians are dying every hour as Israel just bombs and bombs and bombs the Palestinians. Our civil liberties are being taken away. They are taking away our right to organize. They are trying to put the Uhuru movement in jail just for supporting Russia and Ukraine. They have got Julian Assange and they're torturing Julian Assange to death. They're trying to take away our rights. People are dead on the streets of opioids. And these people are concerned that the Harry Potter lady, J.K. Rowling, doesn't say the right pronouns or some shit. This is disgusting, right? This is what social media has done to our movement, right? I look forward to the day that I'm not on YouTube anymore. I look forward to the day that we have special streams that only CPI members can come on, and that CPI is recruiting people who have never heard of communism, never heard of socialism, and we're recruiting ordinary people into our movement. And they come in and we keep this internal, and we're building a movement that is among the people, that is meeting people's needs. People, they in their community, they meet a group of people that are feeding the homeless people and teaching classes on socialism, and they get involved and they find out that's CPI and they join our movement. I look forward to the day that, there's people in the community that are organizing to stop police brutality, to protect the civil liberties of working people, to protect the rights of working people in the neighborhood, that are organizing a union to raise wages, and they find out that those people are involved in an organization called CPI and they join CPI. I don't want to be recruiting as one of these internet freaks, all right? Because that's what YouTube is. It's a freak show. I'm one of the freaks. So, I'm insulting myself. But at the end of the day, right, whether or not I'm able to razzle dazzle you on here, that doesn't prove that I'm right. There's, I could be on here with way worse video quality, way worse production value and be wrong. I could be on here with way better social media stuff and be wrong, right? That truth is not determined by who puts on the best show. You ever read the Bible? Jesus Christ said, "Ye shall know them by their fruits." Ye shall know them by their fruits. Meaning that people were asking, how do we know you're the Messiah? And he said, well, see what I'm able to do. No, judge me by what I'm able to accomplish in the real world. And that's why the Communist Party of the 1930s grew in such big numbers, because people saw what they did. They organized unemployment councils and put people back into their homes when they were getting evicted. They organized labor unions. They brought black and white together to stand up against the greed of the capitalists and the rich. And they saw the Soviet Union, a country that was raising millions of people up, and they were building the whole country and industrializing, wiping out poverty and becoming a superpower. They're doing that. And at the same time, the rest of the world was having a Great Depression. They judged them by their fruits. They saw what they accomplished. And that's how we're going to prove we're right? We're never going to be able to out whiz bang the capitalists. We're never going to be able to put on a better show. We have to prove that we're right by doing the work and building the movement and building the community. The community that meets the needs of the people. Right? That's what we have to do. So there you go. Those are my thoughts.